Hey, this is Nikki G and welcome to Better Commander. So every once in a while I ask myself the question, is now a good time to buy reserve list playables for our commander decks? So we all play Magic the Gathering, we all know about the reserve list and how they said they were never going to reprint the cards therein. And then this year they kind of bombed that entire concept with the unmitigated debacle known as Magic 30th Anniversary Edition. So understandably some folks have lost faith in the system, and some of the cards on the reserve list has seen their prices become stagnant, like a swamp just sitting in the middle of a dusty podunk. The prices float to the surface and burst into an effluviant puff of marsh gas. So after all that, any self-respecting commander brewer, commander player would have to ask himself, is now a good time to buy into commander playable cards on the reserve list? And I'll endeavor to answer that question and talk about some of the cards, but first, ask yourself, is now a good time to buy anything? If you've totally lost faith in the system, you don't like the game, then probably not. If you need bread and toothpaste and have no money, then definitely not. If you're anything like me, you want a Wheel of Fortune, right? But you don't want a Wheel of Fortune because of growth indices and past performance in some imaginary portfolio of collectibles. You want a Wheel of Fortune to stick it in your decks. And you can be assured, if I did have a Wheel of Fortune, I would play the heck out of it. I would buy a damaged one and sleeve it right up. You see, first, before everything, I'm a brewer and I'm a player. I like to build commander decks. Secondly, I have some valuable cards, so I guess I'm a collector as well. But you know what? I'm not really an investor. But I do think about how much we pay for commander staples compared to things like Smothering Tithe, Ristic Study, all these expensive new cards that are going to be reprinted in the next set anyway. So yeah, man, let's take a look at some commander playable cards from the reserve list and examine their prices. I'll weigh in on whether you should consider picking it up based on prior performance. I'm not going in any particular order. I'll talk about cards you can get for less than $100. I'm not talking about super staples like the Dual Lance or anything like that. And by commander playable, I don't mean legal cards only. I mean cards that you would reasonably put in a deck for a reasonable price, not a dang King Suleiman or Thunder Spirit or whatever. I mean, people are buying their Norns and their Mondrax and their Urzas and the Dockside and the Ristic Buddies for more than a lot of these cards, so let's take a look. I'm hoping to show you some cards that maybe you've never seen before. So this is Volgrath Shapeshifter, 1 blue for a creature, Phyrexian Shapeshifter, it's a 0/1. As long as the top card of your graveyard is a creature card, Volgrath Shapeshifter has the full text of that card and has the text to discard a card, and that's also printed right on the card. Okay, cool thing about this guy is that you don't need any type of activation. There are static effects, ETB effects on creatures especially, that can get creatures into your graveyard very easily. Then if it's already out, you don't have to worry about haste. You can just start comboing off. I use this in my Necrotic Ooze combos. That discard ability is also fantastic. Is this a good time to buy this card? Absolutely, you can get this cheap, man, just a couple bucks. Oh man, check this guy out. Coming all the way back from 1996, you got the Rexy and Dreadnought. 1 generic mana for an artifact creature, Pyroxy and Dreadnought. It's a 12/12 with Trample. When Rexy and Dreadnought enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless you sacrifice any number of creatures with total power 12 or greater. So with the aforementioned Volgrath Shapeshifter, you cast this for 1, it goes to the graveyard, Volgrath Shapeshifter becomes a copy of this thing. That's just one thing you can do. This is cool for a variety of reasons. You can cast it, you can respond to the ETB by sacrificing for value. You can take a Dimir Doppelganger, make it a copy of it in the graveyard, exile it from graveyard, whatever. You can cast this with Ever-Changing Dane on the battlefield, sacrifice it in response to its ETB trigger, then Dane is a tramply 12/12. There are so many shenanigans you can do with this thing. A near mint copy will run you $90, but you can score a damaged copy from TCG for $55. Is it a good time to buy this card? I don't know, man, maybe not right now. This price hasn't really gone anywhere. Oh man, I downloaded the wrong version of this. Selenia Archangel, 3 white and a black for a legendary creature, Phyrexian Angel. It's a 3/3 with flying. Pay 2 life, return Selenia Archangel to its owner's hand. There are decks around this lady just activating its ability and then responding by activating the ability to get yourself to 2 life or whatever, then switching life totals with someone. Prices on this range from $3 to $13. A few dollars this costs to own a piece of Magic's history. I mean, this is fantastic. Beautiful art, very unique. Oh man, then we got the Null Rod. That was my nickname back in college. 2 generic mana for an artifact. Activated abilities of artifacts can't be activated. This is a great stacks piece and a Weatherlight favorite. Damage, you can get a copy for $55 and $85 for a near mint. Is it a good time to buy this? Not really. Same thing as the Phyrexian and Dreadnought. This card, the price is really stagnant, hasn't gone down or anywhere. Radiant Archangel. For some reason I look at this picture and think she probably has a British accent. 3 white for a legendary creature Angel. It's a 3/3 with flying and vigilance. Radiant Archangel gets +1/+1 for each other creature with flying on the battlefield. Oh man, look at this. Christy Brinkley, she's just flying around out there. Angels have gotten some love recently with Giada and multiple reprints of Lyra Dawnbringer. This doesn't even necessarily need angels to do a lot of stuff. You just need a lot of flyers. It would go great in an Elminster deck as well. This thing's only $3 to $8. This is a great buy, buddy. Oh my god, Memory Jar. Take a second and just appreciate this art, how there's all these faces and the smoke and everything. This is 5 generic mana for an artifact. Tap, sacrifice it. Each player exiles all cards from their hand face down and draws 7 cards. At the beginning of the next end step, each player discards their hand and returns to their hand each card they exiled this way. Okay, this is a really interesting one. Basically, it's a very unique wheel that doesn't exile itself. Feeds your graveyard, gives access to a full grip, can be activated at instant speed when it's advantageous for you, and can be recurred. I did not play Standard when this was part of it, but I understand that it was an incredibly broken card in Standard. In EDH, this can be a real powerhouse. Is it a good time to buy? Well, you can get a heavy play copy for about $30. Near mint is only $45. Seems like a great time to buy for me, Doug. Think about what other stuff costs $30. What you're getting with this card. I love this thing. It's one of my pet cards, and it was up around $100 at one point. This would be a great name for a Swedish metal band or something. Ritual of the Machine. 2 black for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Gain control of target non-artifact, non-black creature. This is a sacrifice with a theft effect. You get the thing indefinitely. $5 to $9 for this thing. It's a great time to buy this, especially if you have a black theft deck. It can also just be a great way to get your sacrifice trigger and snatch some beater. If you have a theft deck, I mean say an Esper or something like that, you can sacrifice your opponent's stuff and then get more of their stuff. Oh, then we got Lotus Veil. This is a land. If Lotus Veil will enter the battlefield, sacrifice 2 untapped lands instead. If you do, put it onto the battlefield. Really weird templating there. If you don't, put it into its owner's graveyard. Has tap at 3 mana of any one color. Weatherlight struck again, buddy. Basically the best set ever printed. Just kidding, you knuckleheads. Anyway, this can be a real banger if you're copying lands, have a sacrifice theme, or are playing lands from the graveyard. This is very abusable. Is it a good time to buy? Well, you can get a damaged Lotus Veil for $13 or so. The near mint one costs about $35. If you just want a sleeve playable damaged copy, $12 is hard to beat. Hey buddy, if you want to eat spaghetti, you gotta get a fork. It's red for an instant. Copy target instant or sorcery spell, except that copy is red. You may choose new targets for the copy. What an iconic piece of Magic history, brother. You get a damaged copy of a revised fork for about $12. You can get a near mint one for $35. This is powerful. It can be used on your own spells for shenanigans or other people's spells, and it's efficient. Just a cool old card. Is it a good time to buy this thing? Hell yeah. Damaged fork is a playable fork. Lowest price since the madness of 2021 for $12, dude. Pyroxy Purge. I have this in my Greven deck. 2 black and a red for a sorcery. The spell costs 3 life more to cast for each target. Destroy any number of target creatures. I love how this is just half a sad skeleton chilling out in the wasteland. It's a great time to buy this thing, only a few bucks. Now this is a really interesting card, Allurin. 2 green for an enchantment. Any player may cast creature spells with mana value 3 or less without paying their mana costs and as though they had flash. The cool thing about this card is that it combos with cards like White Mane Lion, Shrieking Drake for infinite ETB and LTB triggers. Prices range from $30 for damage to $60 for near mint. This is an amazing card that I don't see it going much lower. It's a game-winning enchantment if you build around it. I mean, $30 for a damaged copy, I'd say go for it. $60 is a bit much. Alright man, maybe you guys can tell me what's a little tilde on top of the A mean? Does that mean I have to say Mjartan Stromgold, 2 red for a legendary creature, Human Knight, it's a 1/1. Whenever this guy attacks, other attacking creatures get +1/+1 until the end of turn for each attacking creature other than this guy. Whenever Mjartan Stromgold blocks, other blocking creatures get +1/+1 until end of turn for each blocking creature other than Mjartan Stromgold. All the way back from Ice Age, this guy is riding on a horse, he's got a sweet helmet, it's a great anthem, fun commander. Is it a good time to buy this, man? Heck yeah, $4 to $10 for this nut. Oh my god, dude, Treachery. 3 blue for an enchantment aura, enchant creature. When Treachery enters the battlefield, untap up to 5 lands. You control enchanted creature. I mean, listen, there's no better spells, and this is a free theft spell. And if your deck cares about blue permanents, if it cares about enchantments, if it cares about theft, this is a doozy of a card. Is it a good time to buy? Well, prices range from 30 to 50 bucks. That's the lowest I've seen them. This was up around 100 bucks as well for a while during the madness of 2021. You can't really go wrong with this card if you have a deck that cares about it. 30 bucks is a steal. And this is another doozy of a card. You got the Peacekeeper, 2 and a white for a creature human. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Peacekeeper unless you pay 1 and a white. Creatures can't attack. First of all, man, listen, take a look at that art. The stern, beautiful figure in the foreground. He's got his hand on his hilt. He's ready to dispense some peace all over your face, dude. Then you have the beautiful background with the sunset and some horse just bopping about. This shuts down so many decks. If your opponents ever want to attack, they gotta remove it. You can get a damaged copy for 9 bucks or a near mint copy for about $25. Is it a good time to buy one? Sure, if you want this effect. I don't see it going any lower. Oh man, here comes Sarah Palin Kron. 5 blue for a creature illusion. It's a 4/5 with flying. When this guy enters the battlefield, untap up to 7 lands. Has 2 blue, return Palin Kron to its owner's hand. This guy is way down from where it was. This was a $100 card not so long ago. This thing has so many combos, can be a huge burst of mana. You get your Deadeye Navigator out there, you're going to work. 22 to 35 bucks. If you want one of these, this is a great time to buy. And you got Urtai Wizard Adept, 2 and a blue for a legendary creature human wizard. 2 blue, tap it, counter target spell. This is a repeatable counter spell on a guy. That's it, really. If you're playing at instant speed, you can keep this guy untapped and just sit there, wait for your opponents to do something. And then if you have untappers out on the battlefield, you get your Kelpie Guide and stuff like that, you're good to go. $7 to $13, this is an absolute steal. Looks like a young Alec Baldwin out there before he shot somebody. Alright, allegedly, alright. So we have Debt of Loyalty, 1 white for an instant. Regenerate target creature. Bet you Alec Baldwin wish he, never mind. You gain control of that creature if it regenerates this way. So the creature has to be destroyed for you to gain control of it, but this can be very powerful for 3 mana. You can take somebody's commander permanently in white, the color of a million board wipes. Is it a good time to buy this? It's $5 for a damage copy, $10 for mint. Come on, dude, if you have a deck for this, this is a great time to buy. Oh my god, hatred, dude. Let me read the flavor text on this first because it sounds like a wrestling monologue. I will flay the skin from your flesh, the flesh from your bones, and scrape your bones dry, and still you will not have suffered enough, Hulk Hogan. As an additional cost to cast the spell, pay X lives, 3 black for an instant. Target creature gets +X/+O until end of turn. This card has a bunch of applications, but it's a KO if you have an unblocked commander and enough life to make it big. Look at Greven out there, man. Look at his close-up of his face. He's just hating everybody with his beady eyes. 25 to 35 bucks. It's a great time to buy this thing. Most recently saw it close to 55 a couple months ago. I love this art from the new set. Just a bunch of electric Phyrexians out there, which sounds like a nightclub in Miami. So if you want to know more about the reserve list, listen, just Google it. There's plenty out there. There's lots of old cards on there, and supposedly they'll never be reprinted again. That's what they're telling us, and that's what they've been telling us for 20 years, but who knows. Don't take your life savings and buy every copy of Dwarven Pony, alright? But if you're like me, you might be surprised at how cheap some of these are. Before you buy whatever new mythic is out there and spend 200 bucks on an Elesh Norn, just think about these cards. Consider one of these. I just wanted to reminisce for a little bit about old cards. Owning these beautiful old pieces of cardboard is like owning a piece of the collective memory of the game, and a lot of these are surprisingly playable. You don't need every new card from the new set. Give the old cards a try, man. Sneaky G from Better Commander signing off.